Corda essentially allows for the individual nodes to maintain certain features of their ledgers in states. And any sort of change to this ledger will allow for the original state to be consumed and a new state to be created. Now, the consumed state will become an archive state, and the new created state would now be the current state. And it can manage its ongoing states by being able to consistently consume and reproduce and produce states and consume and produce states. And it's able to maintain its overall level of immutability by being able to go back and see all the previous states. This is actually how most ledgers actually work. Now, along with that, Corda operates off of what's called bilateral ledgers. So what ends up happening is each Corda node, we have got node A, B, and C, each Corda node will have their own set of ledgers. Now, if we look at node B and we look at this dot right here, the brown dot, we could see that this ledger is entirely isolated to node B, meaning that this ledger is essentially private from all of the other nodes on the network. Now, if we look at node A and this little blue dot on top of all the other blue dots in the other nodes, we can see that they are all connected, essentially showing a shared ledger in a decentralized ledger system. Now, this shared ledger would essentially mean that all the different nodes have access to all of the data on those ledgers, making it a shared network. Now, you can also choose who you want to share your data with. So we have got A and C over here that are constantly sharing data with their ledgers, but they're not including B because B is not part of their transaction. So basically, Corda allows you to have a series of different ledgers that remain entirely stateful, and as the states get consumed, a new state becomes the current one, and the consumed states become archived. And with those ledgers, you're able to maintain them not only privately, but publicly, and be able to have access rights based off of who you want to share the data with. Now, we're going to go over into Corda Settler. Now, Corda Settler is quite an interesting technology. Now, Corda, in one of my other videos, I talked about XDC being the native token on the Corda blockchain. Corda's native token being XDC would typically pay for its smart contracts and do on-chain payments and settlements in XDC. Now, what Corda Settler will allow you to do is it will allow two accounts to essentially settle a transaction off-chain while being able to get the consensus and the settlement on-chain. So what does that mean? Well, that means we've got a node here. We've got two accounts, account A and account B. And account A and account B want to do some form of transaction with each other. And this may actually take place on the network in a multitude of different ways. Maybe one person has a node and they're doing some sort of transaction and application, or maybe two parties have nodes and they want to be able to send, payment information from one node to another node with off-chain payment needs. This could occur in a multitude of different ways, but the main, I guess you could say, structure for how this payment system works is the node will essentially initiate that a payment has been made off-chain. So let's say we took an example of an off-chain payment mechanism being XRP. So let's say the node was able to engage in a contract where A and B wanted to transact with each other. A was able to make a transaction on the XRP ledger to B. Now, the Corda node is going to be monitoring the account of the XRP ledger of the original A account holder, and they're going to see for any sort of changes to be able to initiate essentially a receipt on the network settling the fact that that change has been made. So once that account has essentially made its payment to the secondary account, Corda Settler will also monitor the secondary account to make sure that the payment has been received. And it will also keep track of these receipts. So what does that really make Corda Settler? Well, Corda Settler is really just a monitoring and receipt system to keep track of off-chain accounting. It doesn't necessarily replace its on-chain token or its native token. It's more of a means to be able to facilitate off-chain payments, both in crypto and both in typical bank wire payments. Now, we're going to go into contracts and commands. Now, in a few of my other videos, I've gone over contracts and smart contracts, but I'll wrap it up in a nutshell here. Contracts will allow for multiple signatories to come together to make an agreement, while smart contracts will typically allow for one signatory to initiate some sort of automation with whatever code's packaged in that smart contract. Now, what's something interesting that comes into play here is we have commands. Now, on the Corda platform, you're able to issue commands as a part of a contract, and you're able to issue multiple commands as part of that contract to be able to issue certain states that you want to be changed or certain automations that you want to be triggered. And with these commands, you're actually able to bring out an array of different you're able to bring out an array of different possibilities that can stem from an originating smart contract or contract. But with these commands, you're essentially able to create a level of dynamicy to your contracts and to your collective smart contracts or dApps to be able to create dynamic applications that are efficient and effective.